Every choice you make splits reality into another version of itself. The mirror dimension is that infinite hall of parallel universes reflecting our own. In this ride, we move from bold ideas and thought experiments to clear explanations of how these reflections could exist, how we might glimpse them, and what it would feel like to meet a different you staring back. You'll see striking visual ideas, simple physics concepts, and the stories our culture has told about mirrors and alternate lives, all woven into a narrative that makes the science feel personal, not distant. Stick around to gain a new lens on reality, identity, and what might lie just beyond the looking glass. Defining the mirror dimension. A mirror dimension is a conceptual parallel realm that reflects aspects of our universe, often mirroring landscapes, objects, and even identities with variations. In many stories, it operates under its own set of physical rules, making it possible to rearrange space, bend geometry, and observe mirrored outcomes. Practically, this means a doorway or portal can lead not to another place on the same plane, but to a different layer of reality where reflections hold real consequences. That distinction helps authors explore consequences without altering the main world. In Marvel's canon, the mirror dimension is a separate plane that renders ordinary physics moot, enabling sorcerers to reshape space on the fly while the outside world remains unharmed. It behaves like a studio set for magic, a space where the impossible can be crafted with focus and wards. Objects can be translocated, walls can loop endlessly, and gravity can invert as long as the practitioner maintains discipline and proper sigils. Training in this space often requires precise control, calm, and patient practice. Across literature, television, and gaming, mirror dimensions are used to explore symmetry and inversion. Some narratives present a world where moral choices flip, loyalties shift, and familiar faces wear opposite masks, offering a lens on what makes us who we are. Others treat the mirror as a literal duplicate that diverges at a single point of divergence, creating parallel timelines or alternate outcomes. The concept also appears in theoretical discussions as a tool for thinking about parity, reflection, and how a mirror could conceptually relate to another cosmos without asserting it exists physically in our space. To define the mirror dimension clearly, it helps to map four elements: how one enters, what rules govern the space, how changes there affect our world, and what limits protect both sides from collapse. Access is usually restricted, often requiring specific rituals, artifacts, or a willingness to accept altered rules. The dimension may have its own rules for time, space, and causality, or it may mirror them in inverted form. Interactions between dimensions are typically limited to controlled crossings to prevent destabilization or unintended consequences. This framework keeps the idea practical and usable across genres while leaving room for imaginative variation. Parallels and divergences, the reflected worlds. Some theoretical frameworks posit a mirror dimension that mirrors our world, a twin realm where the same structure and laws exist, but with mirrored features. The idea rests on the notion that fundamental symmetries extend beyond our own universe, producing a counterpart with similar ingredients and processes. Mirror matter would interact with ordinary matter primarily through gravity, making such a realm mostly invisible to direct electromagnetic observation. A key practical consequence is that a mirror planet or star could reveal itself through gravitational effects, such as lensing or perturbations in orbital dynamics, while remaining dark in ordinary light. If this mirrored layer exists, many cosmic structures would have counterparts that follow the same architectural blueprint, even as details diverge. Divergences arise when symmetry is broken or when different initial conditions set the twin worlds on divergent paths. Even with mirrored laws, constants could be effectively identical, yet histories unfold differently, leading to distinct ecological and climatic outcomes. Biochemical handedness offers a vivid illustration. Mirrored biochemistry could favor opposite molecular chirality, changing how proteins fold and how life forms selective interactions. In astronomy and geology, mirrored solar systems would form under the same gravity framework, but could end with different planetary configurations, climate regimes, and surface features due to stochastic events and local environments. The result is a family of reflected worlds that share a common scaffold but display unique textures and trajectories. Researchers explore this concept through theoretical models and observational strategies that aim to detect hidden sectors. Gravitational signatures offer one pathway. Unseen mirror matter can influence the motion of visible objects, produce subtle distortions in light, or alter the distribution of mass in galaxies and clusters. Experiments and analyses consider tiny couplings between ordinary photons and their mirror counterparts, a possibility that would allow faint crosstalk between sectors without revealing all of the mirror world directly. Some lines of inquiry look for anomalies in particle decays or energy balance that might hint at a hidden mirror sector contributing to the universe's energy budget. While concrete detections remain elusive, the framework provides a rich language for describing how a reflected cosmos might interact with our own without collapsing into complete invisibility. In thought experiments and speculative storytelling, the reflected worlds serve as a mirror to our choices and consequences. A mirrored landscape would present architecture and ecosystems that echo ours, yet with reversed symmetry in certain processes, producing distinct outcomes from identical starting points. Left-right dualities in chemistry and biology could materialize as alternate design principles, offering fertile ground for exploring questions about life, culture, and technology. The concept grounds a vivid sense of parallel possibility. Two universes sharing the skeleton of reality, diverging in the details that give rise to life, weather, and civilization. It invites a thoughtful look at what we take for granted about the origins and limits of our own world, while leaving room for wonder about what might lie just beyond the glass. Access and interaction, portals, perception, and boundaries. The mirror dimension is a class of parallel universes that resemble our world, offering mirrored landscapes, familiar cities, and the rhythms of everyday life, while obeying different physical constants and temporal flows. Access comes through portals. These gateways can be natural fissures, crafted conduits, or ritualized spaces that anchor a link between worlds through energy alignment and cognitive intention. Portals demand precise calibration. In contemporary fiction, the sling ring in the Marvel Universe opens temporary, two-way windows to other dimensions, while the Upside Down in Stranger Things appears as a latent mirror nether that bleeds into Hawkins through unstable rifts. Both exemplify access that is contingent on discipline and environment. Perception plays a central role because the landscape is not merely observed, it is shaped by what observers bring to it. Perception is not passive in the mirror dimension. The landscape often responds to mental focus and emotional state, bending streets, textures, and light to reflect internal states. That makes observers accountable for what they invite. In the fiction, this mutable reality means disciplined minds can hammer space into passageways or weave protective wards, whereas fear or distraction can fracture the environment, triggering illusions or dangerous feedback loops. Consistency is rare. The Upside Down provides a tangible touchpoint. Familiar architecture coexists with decay and ecological inversion, showing how perception and environment co-create risk and opportunity alike. Boundaries between dimensions function as both literal membranes and ethical safeguards, implemented by warding sigils, technical locks, or ritual agreements that limit what may cross. Ignoring them invites cross-border contamination. Gatekeepers, whether sorcerers, scientists, or mythic custodians, balance curiosity with restraint, insisting on tethering devices, containment protocols, and exit contingencies to ensure a clean return. Crossing is rarely risk-free. A breach can echo consequences back into our world, altering memory, causing time slips, or awakening parallel versions whose choices ripple into our own timeline. The boundary, then, is not just a line but a pressure point where responsibility meets possibility. For designers and storytellers, the trinity of portals, perception, and boundaries offers a robust toolkit for tension, world building, and character development. From a practical lens, stable access hinges on reliable anchors, verified calibration routines, and clear exit criteria. In narrative terms, you can stage a portaling scene around a carefully set perceptual test, where a character learns to distinguish their own expectations from the room's actual rules before stepping back through the portal. Reality is not the same on the other side. Implications: identity, causality, and knowledge. In this framework, every choice propagates a mirrored lineage of selves that share a common root, yet diverge as decisions unfold. These reflections share a starting point with us, but diverge through decision. A person who values risk may have a counterpart who favors restraint, and the pattern repeats across countless branches, creating a tapestry of near-identical lives with different consequences. The result is a tension between sameness and difference. Causality in the mirror dimension hinges on how tightly the worlds are linked and whether actions ripple across the boundary. Actions in one plane can echo into the other, but such echoes may be muted, gated, or directional, meaning that cause and effect do not flow freely and predictably. The upshot is a cautious view of consequence with occasional surprising cross-currents. Epistemology faces a peculiar puzzle when a mirrored world exists adjacent to our own, challenging our assumptions about evidence and justification. What counts as proof across dimensions? Reports from the mirror can converge with ours, diverge, or reveal inconsistencies, forcing us to reassess theories of truth, memory, and reliability. Discrepancies force scrutiny. The practical implications touch identity ethics, privacy, and law, inviting new frameworks for consent and personhood when a second self may carry similar rights. People might worry about their mirrored counterparts' autonomy. Technology designed to map cross-dimensional states could aid medicine, climate work, or simulation-based research, but it also risks revealing intimate thoughts or unintended leakage of private data. Ultimately, the mirror dimension asks us to rethink what a self is when every choice creates a reflection, theorizing the phenomenon, challenges, and frontiers. In modern physics, several well-developed frameworks posit realms beyond the observable cosmos, and they often speak of parallel versions of reality that mirror or diverge from our own. The most discussed is the many-worlds interpretation. It suggests that every quantum event can branch into distinct, non-communicating outcomes, producing a vast tapestry of histories that coexist. Tests are indirect. Inflationary cosmology adds a wider canvas, where rapid expansion can give rise to an ensemble of bubble universes with varying laws that do not interact except perhaps through gravity. No direct evidence has confirmed these pictures. Another route comes from string theory, where a landscape of many vacua implies a multiverse with different physical constants in different regions of space. The core challenge is testability. The universes described by these theories are typically causally disconnected from ours, making direct observation impossible. That raises the question of falsifiability. Researchers must rely on indirect signatures, which can be ambiguous or mimic ordinary cosmic phenomena, leaving the interpretation open to debate. This uncertainty undermines definitive claims. The measure problem in cosmology compounds the issue because assigning probabilities across an infinite or sprawling landscape can yield nonsensical or non-unique predictions. Philosophical worries about what constitutes a separate world also haunt discussions. On the frontiers, cosmologists search for indirect fingerprints, such as signatures in the cosmic microwave background that could hint at bubble collisions or phase transitions in an eternal inflationary setting. So far, no conclusive imprint has survived scrutiny. The development of precise simulations and statistical techniques helps separate genuine anomalies from instrument noise or foreground effects, tightening the bounds on viable scenarios. Gravitational waves also enter the frame as a potential probe. If a network of explosive phase transitions occurred in the early multiverse, a stochastic background of gravitational waves could carry distinctive spectra, providing an ironclad constraint on certain models. But extracting such a signal is exquisitely challenging. In more concrete model building, mirror matter or a parity-symmetric hidden sector offers a tangible class of scenarios where a mirrored copy of standard particles interacts very weakly with our world, mainly through gravity or tiny portal couplings. Experiments test these portals. Laboratory searches for rare decays like orthopositronium into mirror particles, precision tests of neutron oscillations, and anomalous cooling of stars provide constraints but have yet to yield a smoking gun. Astronomical observations impose complementary bounds. In the practical research program, Theorists strive to embed these ideas into coherent cosmologies that respect known data while offering distinct, falsifiable predictions, such as subtle mismatches in dark matter distributions or minute time translation symmetry effects in certain experiments. The frontier remains open. That's the mirror dimension, parallel universes reflecting ours. To recap the key ideas, the mirror concept invites us to imagine other versions of reality that echo our choices and events, tiny moments that could ripple outward into branching timelines, and multiple scientific interpretations that try to make sense of those echoes. It's a framework for wonder more than a verdict, a way to ask, what if, without insisting on certainty. If you felt that tug of possibility, you're not alone. These reflections are invites to explore, not promises. If you enjoyed this journey, say hello to the like button, drop a comment with the question or scenario you found most intriguing, and consider subscribing so you don't miss what we explore next. Your thoughts help shape where this conversation goes. In future episodes, we'll dive deeper into the different multiverse ideas, mini-worlds, brain concepts, and other imaginative angles, along with thought experiments and approachable demos that illuminate the edge of what we can test and observe. We'll also chat with researchers who are probing these boundaries, peeling back the layers of the mirror together. Thanks for watching. Keep wondering, keep questioning, and first we'll see you in the next video.